Have you ever wondered what goes into your favorite brand's digital marketing strategy? I'm Tara, the founder of TJ Creative Agency.
And I'm Audrey, the creative marketing director of TJ Creative Agency. Whether you're an influencer, a business owner, a content creator, or just an overall creative person, we'll teach you how to create the perfect social media strategy and build your brand online. Welcome, Indy. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. I would love to just jump in, tell the people who you are, a little bit about yourself.
Cool. Yeah. Hi. Thank you so much for having me. Hi. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here. My name's Indya Agos. I am a trauma-informed mindset, fitness, and nutrition coach. I'm 28, and I live here in Austin, Texas with my girlfriend and our dog.
Cute.
Love it.
Gorgeous. Well, we just did a collab with Indy, which is why we are having her on the podcast. She has a pretty great TikTok and is growing her Instagram. And I just kind of wanted to get into, like, how long have you been making content?
Really since lockdown.
Okay.
Like when I found TikTok, it was like summertime of 2020, and that's when I started making content.
How long did it take for you to actually see growth on TikTok?
I never intended to see growth on social media.
Yeah. How did you start posting?
Yeah.
Like, what was the stuff that you were posting?
I was posting like transformation stuff and like lifestyle stuff. I wasn't ever trying to be an influencer. I always like romanticized being an influencer.
Yeah.
But like my transformation videos at the beginning of like the pandemic started to blow up and get traction, and I felt like my audience was kind of like polling me to create more content, and so that's when I started to like see more growth and started posting more consistently.
Which is, we talk about that, like listening to your audience is so valuable because they're gonna tell you, even if you don't want it, they're gonna tell you what they want.
100%.
So it just makes sense to listen to it.
Yeah.
You know.
And when I feel uninspired, I just scroll through my comments. I'm like, oh, this is what they really want to see today.
This is what they want to hear.
Yeah.
So
great.
I really want to talk to you about the idea of having a niche. I know this is like almost a controversial topic this year. It feels like a little buzzworthy of people saying, do you need a niche? Do you not need a niche? And we've had people on the podcast that will say both. We've had people on the podcast that say, absolutely, you should have a niche. It's non-negotiable. And then we've had people that are like, it's so stupid, you don't need one. And we were talking yesterday at lunch, and you had said you're very much in the fitness kind of niche, right?
Like wellness,
And you had said you don't know if the people following you really like know you very well. Do you, like, if you do post something that's a little more personal, do you notice that maybe your engagement is lower on that video or it doesn't do as well?
I think the more personal I am, the better the engagement is.
Okay.
But I feel like there's so much more to me than fitness, wellness, mental health, trauma, things like that. And so when I post like my artistic side, or I'm really into the beauty industry, things like that, it doesn't perform as well for sure.
Yeah. So you feel like it's harder to kind of pivot out of that niche?
Yes, and mostly because I feel like it's kind of discouraging because your content isn't getting all the engagement.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you find it hard, like, when those numbers kind of drop, like, you just, like, don't, it almost feels like you don't want to make content like that?
You're like, they don't like it.
Yeah, you know it's not going to get the numbers.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like I don't even want to make the content in my niche sometimes because I feel so boxed in.
I was going to say, does that make you feel like, boxed
uninspired,
in?
Yeah, sometimes it does. For sure. And I know that like my true audience, and I'm going to say like the audience that are like my fans, like they are constantly texting me, DMing me, commenting, engaging with all my stuff.
Yeah.
They love seeing all those parts of my life. But it's the people that come to my page and they're like, oh, I really liked her Get Ready With Me. Why is she posting about fitness? Or, oh, I really like her recipe. Why is she posting about makeup? Like it gets confusing in translation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you think having that like pretty strict fitness niche helped you grow though?
Absolutely. 100%. Yeah.
That's why it's like so controversial, because there are so many people that say if you really niche down, if you really stick to one category and that's what you're going to talk about, you can grow faster. But then you end up kind of at this crossroads like you are, where you're like, I don't know how much my audience really knows about me. Like, I think they just know me as the fitness girl, and it's harder to branch out and allow them to get to know you, essentially.
Yeah. 100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What do you kind of see yourself doing, like, moving forward? Do you think you're going to, like, ideally, what would you?
Well, I want to get more into lifestyle because I do travel a lot. Like, I've lived overseas. I want my audience to see that because it's interesting for me to create that kind of content. It's really creative for me. A lot of my content is really trauma heavy. So I talk about like pain points and why people aren't achieving their goals or why they feel stuck in their life. And that for me sometimes can be like emotionally heavy for me to show up every day as the motivator when I don't feel motivated.
Yeah.
So things I like consume is like I consume a lot of get ready with me's or beauty content.
Just lighter stuff. Yeah.
I love watching it. And so what I've started to do is like get ready with me while I tell you about how my family fucked up my relationship with food.
Yeah. You're like, let me tell you about my trauma while still doing. I think like one way to kind of branch out of that niche is like keep making the content that people obviously want to see, right? So they want to see the fitness stuff, they want to see the trauma stuff, but then start throwing in those get ready with me's, like just mix them together, you know what I mean? So maybe on one day when you're already posting a fitness video, be like, here's a video I just made for fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I know that it can be discouraging. I totally get it. Even like our job, like having our clients not perform as well as we would like them to. But I mean, I feel like I have to take my own advice here, but but like just keep doing it. It sucks when the videos aren't performing and you're used to a certain number. But it's like you just have to keep going. It's almost like comparing it to when you first get started, right? Like your numbers aren't great when you first get started, but the more you do it, the more people are gonna find you. And Tara and I, like we said yesterday at lunch, we were saying if you keep posting these other videos, you're either going to find that your audience likes the fact that they're getting to know you more, or you're going to attract an entirely new audience. It's just going to take time. You know what I mean?
And I think you have to kind of connect to your why and your intention with posting too.
Yeah.
Because sometimes 100%. It's fun to post just like a trend or something.
Yeah.
But if you want to go outside of your niche, you have to understand what's the intention behind it. Am I trying to monetize this? Am I trying to create more awareness around the subject I'm talking about?
Right.
Because moving forward, otherwise you're just going to feel lost while posting.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I do think too, like when you do end up posting outside of your niche, but it's coming from like a place of passion. Like if you like this makeup side of TikTok and the get ready with me and stuff, obviously it's like a passion for you, right? So if you are making these videos and you're having fun making it, like that comes across on camera. So even though it might not be what people are used to seeing from you, if they're seeing that you're excited about it, they're more likely to also be excited about it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And it's kind of like when you're working, you want to find balance with play and work, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So you just like throw in things that are a little bit more inspiring for you.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely.
I wanted to jump into like making money online. So since you've grown your TikTok, how have you been able to monetize it?
I've done a lot of different things. It's been a lot of trial and error. At first, I wasn't trying to grow an audience and be an influencer, right? And so then when I realized, hey, I couldn't do this full time and live my dream life, which was to travel the world and work online, I started to capitalize on what the experience I had been through was. So, and that was the fact that I'd lost 120 pounds. And I had this gift of somehow targeting these women and like get to know who or relate to their experience and help them kind of figure out how to heal their relationship with nutrition and with their body image and things like that. And so I released some courses. I released a couple different programs, and some performed better than others. And now what I have is one-on-one coaching. And it's kind of in a course form. I have like a platform. It's an app, and all of my clients will reach me on the app. But it is one-on-one coaching, custom nutrition, fitness, and mindset coaching.
Did you notice any of the like courses or programs do better than the others, or like why they did better? Did you find any sort of like through line between that?
Yeah, I did like a generalized fitness program that was like really affordable, like maybe I think it was $50 a month, and that made a couple grand or something like that, but it wasn't consistent income. People canceled all the time.
Yeah.
I think the best thing that I found specifically with courses or having one-on-one coaching is having something that they have to have a commitment to, like whether that be a 4 or 12-month commitment.
Like so some sort of like contract or something.
Yeah. Even when you're collaborating with brands, sometimes you don't get paid for 3-4 months.
Yeah. So that's something people don't talk about. I'm
Yeah,
like,
they
oh
don't
my God,
either.
they do it. It'll take 3 months, and they're like, hold on, it's coming.
It's coming.
It's coming.
Yeah.
You're like, when? I literally posted this video so long ago.
Yeah, you're like, rent's due. What's up?
Yeah, literally. I'm like, I have things I have to do. I
Yeah.
was counting on this money.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to talk about, we made an episode a few weeks ago about the importance of like building a community versus a following. And obviously people are buying your services. They're buying these one-on-ones, which obviously means that you have more of a community than just a following, right? Because if you just had people following you, they wouldn't be buying from you. So what do you think you did that that built more of a community versus just like fans, if you will?
Yeah, I think the best thing I ever did was sit down and create my avatar to figure out exactly who I was speaking to online.
Yeah.
And every time I create a video, I try and speak directly to that person, whether that be like a younger version of me living in an experience I've already had, or like maybe a family member I relate to and I've always wanted to help. I try and speak to that person directly every single time.
I love that.
And it creates relatability. And so then they also trust you because they're like, well, she's lived my experience or she understands my experience.
Do you feel like you show up differently on different platforms? Do you feel like you show up different on TikTok than you do on Instagram? Do you carry things over? How do you find that balance?
For my emotional and mental health, I do carry things over because it's exhausting creating like multiple different forms of content. But as you both probably know, Instagram is so more aesthetic based.
Yeah.
And that can be exhausting for somebody who like grew on TikTok, because my growth on TikTok is way
totally different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I post like chatting stuff on Instagram, and it does better, but it doesn't do as well as it does on TikTok.
I was going to ask if you've seen a difference, because I feel like anytime I've posted like chatty videos on Instagram, they never do as well versus like if I posted, I don't know, something with like B-roll where it's like a voiceover, that does way better on Instagram than like a talking head type of video.
It's interesting because for me, it's the opposite. I want to post the B-roll and the trendy and the 4-second videos. Like that would be amazing because I feel like it's a little bit less work.
Yeah.
But for my audience, they want me speaking to the camera all the time.
Yeah.
And maybe Instagram's pushing long form content, or maybe they're pushing also like the content you always put out. So they want consistency in your content.
Yeah, so that they can put you in a category.
Yeah.
What kind of content have you, like, how do you get people to buy your products and your services? Like, what does that look like when you're kind of pushing those? Are you just like making a video being like, hey, this new thing launched, or like, what does that look like?
Yeah, that will perform terribly for me.
No, that's what I'm saying. That, like, if you just went online and you were like, hey, I have a product, I would love if you bought it. Like, no one's going to buy it.
Yeah. When I remember too, like working with my first brand partnership, like it was a supplement company. I was like, here's this protein, get it, free shipping. And it was way too salesy.
Yeah.
So when I do hard CTAs, like call to actions, they don't perform well. So all I do is really figure out what the pain point is, whether you're in like the wellness space or not. Just like, what are you providing? I think the best sales advice I ever got from anybody was a mentor of mine. And he said, you're not in the business of sales if you're in the business of helping people. And so all I do is put out a ton of valuable free content. And people are like, I want more of this. And they go to the link in bio. And sometimes
so you're not even necessarily making content, like pushing, hey, did you know that I have one-on-one services? They just are wanting more from what you're already putting out there.
Yeah, I'm just like, hey, are you not reaching your goals because you've been trying so many fad diets? Here's why. And they're like, okay, I want you.
Yeah.
They'll go to the link in bio and we'll have a conversation.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So you had mentioned that a lot of your money comes from your one-on-one coaching. Like that's the number one thing that you promote. Do you think that that's like a sustainable way for you to continue growing? Because it requires energy. Yeah. It's not like an automated thing. You know what I mean? You have to put energy into every person that does this one-on-one with you.
Yeah, I love that you already see that. That's a confronting question I've been asking myself. And I think that I love how much impact I'm making on one-on-one coaching. It's really rewarding to hear and see the transformation that's happening in my clients' lives. But it isn't something that is going to offer me the freedom that I want. And so I am exploring like more course options. But because I am so niche, like I'm niche and then niche on top of that, I feel like it's hard for me to figure out what platform or what style of course that needs to be in order to serve my audience.
Yeah.
But I'm working on doing more like group coaching now. Yeah. And so it's a little bit of a lower ticket, but then more people are in there and it's a little less work for me. I'll just like talk to them like maybe once a week or something like that.
Yeah. I don't think people like realize that when they start growing on a platform or something and offer any sort of service, it still requires your time, right? Like you might get more people in, but you still have to put energy into each person that wants your service.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I want to pivot a little bit to brand deals.
Okay.
What did that look like? Like, when you do brand deals, let's say, are you reaching out to more brands or are they reaching out to you?
In the beginning, they were reaching out to me, and I was like so flattered. I was like, oh my God, people want to collaborate with me? I'm like an influencer now.
You're like, oh my God, look at me.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. But then after I started to do some research and connect with other content creators, I was like, oh, this is something that I could capitalize and monetize.
Yeah.
And so I tried to pitch brands, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's a little exhausting.
Can I ask you what you were saying in your pitch emails?
I would mostly DM.
Okay.
Versus email, because I felt like the brands I was reaching out to got a lot of emails, and so
Yeah.
I got DMs, and I've been really successful with communication through
With
DMs.
DMs, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Dwayne The Rock Johnson hasn't DM'd me back yet.
But other than that, pretty successful.
Yeah,
Pretty
really successful. And they'll be upfront with me. I'll be like, hey, I would love to collaborate with you. If this is an opportunity available, can I please have the email of who I can speak
Right.
to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she had a media kit. She was prepared.
Yeah, but I don't throw my media kit straight at them. I feel like it's not very personal.
I was going to say, we had another girl on the podcast that had said something similar where she was like, I noticed that it was going to spam. If I put an attachment in that very first email, they wouldn't respond. If I didn't put the media kit in until like the second email until they had responded, there was like a higher chance that they were going to see that first email.
Yeah.
So was there like a number, like when did you start getting your first brand deal emails?
I want to say on Instagram, I only had like maybe 2,000. I think they were mostly coming off of TikTok.
Yeah.
Maybe like 70,000 on TikTok.
Okay.
But like in 2020, when it was like super
Right.
easy to grow on TikTok.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've talked about this too, where it's like, I think there's just a misconception that you hit a certain number of followers and the brand deals come flooding in.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't
Yeah.
work like that. Have you actually found any success? I always tell people to tag the brands. Like if it's a brand that you use authentically, tag them in the content. Like if you're wearing their clothes or something, whatever. Have you had any success with that, with getting brand deals through
I've only
that?
done that like a couple times, but from here on out, I'm going to do that. And see
Yeah,
how it
you're like, well, now that you
Yeah.
said that.
Dang it.
Yeah,
No.
that's how like for the brands that I work with, that's how I find all of the UGC that I use. Like that's how I
Okay.
find most of the influencers that I work with is if they've already tagged me.
Okay.
Because it's just like authentic, right? I already know that they like
that they like
my
the brand.
product.
Instead of me just DMing and be like, oh my God, I love your product.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Then you're seeing it.
Yeah. That's a really
Yeah.
good shout.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I would love to. Like, you've been in this game for like 3 years now, right? You've been doing this for about 3 years. So let's say somebody wanted to get started as a content creator. What is some advice that you would have for them?
Just start. Like,
Yeah.
don't let yourself get overwhelmed with what it needs to look like or who I need to be or who's going to see it. Is it getting engagement? My partner right now, she's actually doing a rebrand. And so she's starting a new Instagram because her current Instagram is very personal. And so she's like, what should my first post be? Should it be an introduction? Should it be this? And I'm like, it should just be a post.
Yeah.
Because-
just your first post should just post it.
Yeah,
That's
it's
the
not
most
going to
important
get
part.
engagement. People are, and I don't know if this is the correct language, but sometimes people are a little shallow or surface level when they look at your profile. They're like, this person doesn't know what they're talking about. They have 30 followers. Like,
Yeah.
they're not as credible.
Yeah.
So you just have to work on building. So you just have to start, and don't let the fear of it not being perfect stop you from starting.
Yeah. Was that ever a fear of yours? Like, well, you said you didn't even want to start. Like, you didn't even want to grow
But
a following.
she started, did you start because of your weight loss? Like, is that what kind of triggered you to share the content? Like, how did that evolve? And did it ever play a part into, like, your weight loss? Like, when did you lose the weight completely?
When I lost the weight completely, my weight loss journey started in 2014.
Okay.
And then I fluctuated in my weight a ton. So it's a long, long story. But I think that I've maintained really like the physique I'm in now for the past 3 to 4 years.
Okay.
Okay.
And I started posting about that experience. I quit drinking in March 2020. And so I was really able to find like sustainability in my health and fitness as well around that time. And so that's really when I started posting.
Yeah.
Did you already have, like, your coaching kind of business when you started?
No.
Or did that come from
That came from that
TikTok?
too.
Yeah.
So you were just posting on TikTok for fun then, yeah?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always wanted to be an influencer, but I would never had the intention that I could be an influencer.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
just like a distant. Like,
Yeah.
that would be cool if
Yeah.
if I could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Gypsy Lust is one of my favorite influencers.
Yes.
She just posts about traveling the world. I'm like, I want that life.
Yeah.
I do. You're so authentic online, and I kind of wanted to, like, jump into that. How were you able, like, when you first started, did it feel inauthentic to be posting? Like, did it feel weird?
it felt like imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
I
didn't
think
feel inauthentic, but it felt
it was just like,
impostery.
I feel like even when I started posting things, I was like, who the hell am I to be giving tips online or like
Yeah.
doing anything online?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And all those people from high school or your exes, like, on
Yeah.
like, ooh, cringe, she's posting this. Who does she
Yeah.
think she is. Yeah.
I said this yesterday when we were talking, but I'm like, everybody says that, right? Everybody's like, oh my God, how am I supposed to do this? And I don't want people that I know in my personal life to see it. And I said, like, when I started posting shit like this, like 9 times out of 10, they were positive responses. Like if I got any responses, people come out of the woodworks, like people I have not seen since high school are like, oh my God, I love the content you're making. So it's so in your head of being like, oh my God, everybody's going to think this is so stupid. They're probably not.
Yeah.
Like they're probably not going to think it's stupid.
And sometimes they'll be inspired to do it on their own as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually just got like a text the other day that was like, you being like so authentic and like these things that you're posting online like have really helped me. And she was like, if you were able to do that for me, you're able to do that for like other people, whatever. So it's like most of the time the people in your personal life are not going to think anything of it. If they do, they're going to unfollow you. Like you're not going to know regardless.
Yeah.
So
And actually, that's a pro tip. I unfollowed anybody that intimidated me when I was scrolling.
yeah.
Because I would be like, oh my God, they're seeing my content. Well, I don't care if they're seeing my content, but I'm not seeing them, so I'm not reminded they're seeing my
Right.
content.
Right.
Yeah.
There you
How
go.
do you think you were able to find that like authentic voice online? Because you did start with like imposter syndrome, right? As a lot of people do. How were you able to kind of like get comfortable on camera and get comfortable posting the type of stuff you're posting now?
I don't know if this is everybody, but for me, it is so hard for me to create content that isn't part of my personality. Like, I'm not going to be the girl that's like, hey guys, good morning. I'm not that girl.
Right.
So I tried it and it didn't work. Like, I tried it a couple of times. I think that the way I found authenticity was just by wanting to always be who I was in person online as well. So if you ever met me in person, you wouldn't be scared to approach me because I would have that like down to earth energy online and in person.
Yeah.
Do you feel like your stories was kind of where that happened? Like, were you able, because you're pretty active on stories and you're constantly talking to people on stories directly.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you feel like that developed there?
Yeah.
and
And
carried
there was
over?
a point where you weren't supposed to talk on stories.
Yeah.
And I was like so pissed off about that because I love speaking on my stories or posting video on stories. So I'm
Yeah.
happy
Wait,
that's
when
back.
could you not talk on Are we talking about TikTok stories or?
No, on
Instagram.
Instagram. I want to say it was like last year, and it might have just been like social media courses I was in, but they were like, no more posting on stories because Instagram's posting reels and you only can post photos in your stories.
You know all the.
Oh my God.
Yeah, all the, yeah.
Oh, I'm
all the
like, who
chatter.
said you can't? I'm telling people that, right? I'm like, talk on your stories, show up. I'm like,
Yeah.
who's telling you not to
No,
talk on
show
your
up on
stories?
stories for sure.
And that's how I'm branching out actually for more lifestyle stuff is I'm showing that on my stories. And then my in-feed stuff is still fitness and wellness, but people are seeing that I'm into like fashion, beauty, and art all on my stories. So they're
That's
not
such a
shocked.
good way to like introduce
it.
your audience
Yeah.
to other sides of you. Like, and we tell I know you're obviously not like, whatever, you're more of a content creator, but when we talk to like business owners even, we're like, show more of your personal life on stories. It doesn't need to go on your feed. It doesn't need to be there permanently. But even if you're just like going out to drinks after work, it humanizes you. Like the stories are really where people connect to you because
Yeah.
they see a different side of you, and because so many people are like, it doesn't fucking matter what's on stories, it's up for 24 hours.
Yeah. And like
know.
one of your clients, Dr. Patel, posted the other day that he was on vacation with his wife.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, I'm so glad he gets a break. I know he works so hard.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right?
it's like
Yeah.
you feel something for this is more of obviously more of a business tip, but like you feel like you know them a little bit more in the stories.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Especially if it's a small business. They want to know your story. People
Yeah.
are more likely to buy from you if they can relate to you.
Exactly. As far as like you're pretty vulnerable online, obviously part of that is your niche in the trauma and the weight loss and things like that. Do you feel like you ever lack privacy? Are you ever like, I share way too much online?
Sometimes it borders that, especially with like mental health or talking about ED or SA and things like
Yeah.
that. There's been times that I've posted something very vulnerable about an experience that I've had, and I had like my heart in my throat and like full panic, and I had to put my phone away, and I was just so scared because when you post things online, you give people the ability to
Comment
judge you.
and respond.
Yeah, absolutely, and they'll judge you regardless, and you have to let.
But
go
you
of
have to
that.
see the
Yeah,
judgment when you
yeah.
post it online. Yeah.
And I've been bullied online before, and it's not fun. you
Right.
know?
Yeah,
How have you-
she got bullied on our feed for a minute.
I do have big feet.
How have you been able to kind of find like a boundary there where you still want to show up authentically and show up like vulnerably, but you want to maintain maybe like a level of privacy? Like, how have you been able to find that boundary?
I'm still working on it, to be 100% transparent. The privacy factor of like being somebody who's online, there's like a safety kind of issue as well, like sharing where you're at,
that
posting
drives
restaurants.
me insane. Sometimes I see influencers, like the influencers that do house tours. I'm like, are you stupid?
Yeah.
Why are you showing a house tour?
Yeah, that's kind of
what are you doing?
Yeah, or even I don't know, sometimes I get sketched out with like showing even like license plates in the background. I'm like, I don't want people to know where I'm at.
Yeah.
So there's that privacy factor, but I think for me it's anything that I am not okay with receiving feedback on. So I'll definitely share something vulnerable and I'll share my relationships online. But if I'm not okay with what you have to say, or I don't care what your opinion might be on that, I'm not going to share it.
It's also like, I think if there's something that you might be a little bit insecure about, or you don't have like thick skin around a certain topic, that feels like a good like boundary or line to be like, maybe this isn't something that I should share just yet.
Right. Like I just had a huge, massive surgery with Dr. Booth. And today I just made a video about revealing my scars. And it's a really scary video to make. And I've been putting it off, but today's my 6-week mark. And so I was like, all right, let's post it. And I'm really excited. But I am scared because as soon as you see people with plastic surgery posting it online, they're like, oh my God, your belly button doesn't look good, or I would never do this, or you have to live with this scar. And I don't need that feedback.
Right. I've seen people too that'll do just like any sort of video. It's just their face, but they're like, and people start pointing things out to me that I was never insecure about. And now I start getting comments that literally, I'm like not huge at all, but one of the first hate comments I ever got was telling me how bad my under eye bags are. Never insecure about it.
You said that yesterday.
Yeah, and she did say it yesterday.
That's literally yesterday I said I should get under eye filler. But someone was like, the bags under your eyes are horrendous. And I was like, damn.
I want to see the bags under your eyes.
Yeah.
And it's so hard not to react because I am sassy.
No, I did. I'm like so good.
Don't engage.
And the girl's like, I'm like, damn, she's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
She's staying.
Yeah. I got dragged the other day for having a 9.5 foot, and I'm 5'4". I have big feet. But they were like, oh my God, she's flippers.
It made our video go viral. And I was like, okay, so she texts me, I'm at church, and she's like, dude, they're killing me in the comments. I'm like, oh, should I poll it? You know, because I didn't know how she's like, no, leave it. Leave it for everybody to see. I claim it. I swim fast.
I claim it.
I'm like,
I'm a good swimmer.
I'm a good swimmer. Like, she took it on and was like, it's fine. I don't care.
And it helps get some engagement. People will see that video and they won't even know it's viral because of the feed. They'll just see the engagement and then watch the video because, like I said, they think it's more credible because it has engagement.
That's what I love. Like when there are trolls, I'm like, you're helping me at the end of the day. Like, I hate to see this.
Yeah.
But you are helping my engagement.
Cat Williams says, let haters do their damn job.
Yes, exactly.
It's true. Have you ever, have you gotten hate comments or responses or something that have led you to take down a video?
So I had my first viral video actually put me on Fox News, which was crazy.
Oh my God.
Yahoo did an article on me. It was a crazy point in my career. It definitely launched my career, that viral video. And not to say it verbatim, but basically I was like, who the fuck told us women that we need to weigh 120 pounds? It felt like no matter what height a woman was, everybody was kind of obsessed with this 120 number.
A number.
Yeah, exactly. And men trolled me so hard. And it got to the point where I was crying. I felt really scared to get on my phone. I was just anxious around it. I had to have social media taken off my phone for a while. And I just let it keep going because it was an important video. Because there were so many women on there seeing themselves. They're like, yes, where did this come from? And it was an issue with the BMI and society and, different kind of things with race and stuff like that. But men were so obsessed with telling me that I was the problem and that I was toxic. And so even they started stitching the video and their videos would go more viral than me. I had a couple actually ex-boyfriends reach out to me on Facebook, sending me the video and being like, I'm so sorry this is happening to you right now. And it was really hard.
Yeah. It's tough. And it's tough not to notice it too. Like you said, there were women on the video being like, I love this. Thank you for posting this. But it's hard. You could have 500 nice comments and then maybe 10 that are rude. But if they say the right thing.
Why is it so deep?
You're like, oh my God, nothing has hurt me more.
Yes.
Nothing has hurt me more in my whole life.
Yeah.
It's insane. How have you been able to kind of get thicker skin? How have you been able to have those hate comments ever, aside from that one moment? Have they ever bothered you a lot?
They bother me every time. I still get high blood pressure every time. I'm like, oh, why would you say that? Just keep scrolling.
They're still hurtful.
Yes. The other day, somebody commented on one of my surgery videos and was like, all you need to do is lose some body fat. And just because you had surgery doesn't mean you lost the weight naturally. Because that's something I capitalize on, too. I want to show women that you don't need, like, medical intervention to lose weight. Not all the time, right? And I commented back. I was really sassy. And I was like, don't engage. But what I try and do is just care less, like give less fucks about what's going on.
And it's hard to actually do that. Like, it's one thing to say it, but it is hard to actually not care when there's people being like, you would look better if you looked like this, or like, why the fuck are you telling people to do this? And you're like,
yeah. And I think connecting to the avatar again is a big thing, being like, well, you're obviously not who I was trying to speak to. So.
Yeah, exactly. You're not my audience. Yeah.
And I love it when my other followers engage and bully them back, and then it brings up even more of the algorithm. So just don't even delete the video sometimes, or don't delete
we
the
talked about
sometimes.
that we just literally in the last episode we just recorded said the same thing, like, don't delete it when you get negative
some people will turn off comments if it feels like, and I'm not saying that if you do, like, if it's affecting your mental health,
for
you
sure.
know,
You have to do what you have to do.
But I've gotten to a place too where I am just like, I don't even care. Yeah. You know, I actually had Jenna Ortega. I used to take her pictures. This is before she was big.
First of all, love telling people that all the time. It's like almost my claim to fame.
I know, she's like,
I'm like, my boss used to photograph Jenna Ortega. Like, you know Jenna Ortega from Wednesday? You know her. Well, my boss used to take her photos. So
her mom said that, or there was some mean comments on hers, and she told her mom, she said, no, I want them to see that I get bullied too.
Yeah.
Because I think you think that if somebody is big or something, that's just cut off, like, and that they don't have feelings and that it doesn't apply to them. Yeah. And she told her mom to leave all the hate comments up.
Yeah, I mean, I even think about that with Alex Earl. Like, I love her. I don't know why I love her. I think she's just so cute and really entertaining and fun to watch. But I worry about her because she's grown so fast. I'm like, she must have a lot of harassment. Because even where I'm at, I'm like, I guess a micro influencer. I've received like death threats. So I can't even imagine the kind of like stalking, because she's very vulnerable about where she's at, where she goes to school.
Yeah, where she's
at. Oh my God. Yeah, literally. She's like,
speaking of, I'm like,
might as well be like, this is my class schedule. This is where you can find me at all times of the day.
That's why we like her, but
But also,
it's a double-edged sword a little bit. Being so vulnerable, and even showing where you're at, like, is a different side of vulnerability. Like, there's obviously a reason for it because people like to see it, but there's also people can use it against you.
So the reason we actually decided to collaborate with her was because of her authenticity, right? Like, because she is so authentic in sharing her journey. And she had this surgery, and to get somebody to be able to even talk about that, let alone like share it with the masses, was so good. But I think it's so valuable, the content that she's creating for the doctors.
Thank you.
I don't think anyone's done it. I think you're like setting the standard.
Thank you so much.
That's true. I don't know if I've seen anybody like be so
vulnerable with it,
open about it. Like, some people will be like, I got this done, but they're not going through.
No, we started at day one, filming from. She had her consult, then we made the agreement, then we did kind of a mock consult, but it was actually even probably more in depth because she probably came with more questions, more stuff.
Oh yeah.
Or maybe even had her audience come up with some more questions to ask during that process.
Yeah.
So she's been wonderful to work with as far as an influencer.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think the first video I actually saw of yours was after this collaboration, and it was you talking about like just being really open and vulnerable about the healing process. I think you were like crying or something, and you were like, it's been really tough. And I remember talking to Tara, and I was like, I love that she made that video, and I know that it's supposed to, like, I know we are working with you because it's supposed to benefit one of our clients, but I was like, that authenticity is still what people need to see. Like, if they're thinking about doing any of the procedures that you did, like, they still need to know about that. You know what I mean? Like, I loved that you did that. Even.
And on our side, the doctor was like, oh my gosh, this is bad. What the heck am I going to do? And I'm like,
he was alarmed by it.
He was alarmed. But I was like, no, this is a great opportunity to say, you know what? This does happen. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it does happen. And you need to know that this is a possibility. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not negative. It didn't need to be negative. How can we take that?
Transparent.
Yeah. How can we take that?
I think his response was amazing.
It was good, right?
Video. Yeah. And I loved him so much for it too. It's not his fault that I was struggling mentally.
Yeah.
It's just
Right.
what happens when you're on a lot of drugs and you're going through like another body transformation. You can't move. Like your mental
Yeah.
health is going to be impacted.
Yeah.
Yeah, he came up with a good response. It was solid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like, watch Seinfeld. I was like, oh my God.
I know. I was like, what?
So Dr.
No, and then he said another person.
I was like, watch New
Listen
Girl.
to
You're like,
Jim. Someone. I was like, I don't know who
Yeah, I
that
didn't
is.
know who that was.
You're like, literally, who are you?
We don't have the same humor. It's okay.
Different generation.
You're like,
Yeah.
and that's fine.
Yes.
Well, Tara, do you have any other questions? Andy, did you want to share anything that you feel like we didn't ask you about?
No, I don't think so.
No, I think you did a great job. Thank you for coming.
Gorgeous.
Thank you
Yeah,
so much for
thank you
having
so
us.
much for coming on. Where can everybody find you?
On TikTok and on Instagram at Indya Agos, and I'm starting YouTube too. It's Indya Agos as well.
Gorgeous. And you will also be able to find all of her links in the description of this episode. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.